Were we waiting for anybody else?
I don't think so. It was, I thought, gonna be back in time, but.
You're like a little mobile homes, tires squealing in the parking lot.
Ryan Humphrey was supposed to come to the city as well.
Oh, okay. So should we wait a few minutes?
Hopefully he didn't get lost. He's usually on time. But then yes, last time I was here, I stood at the door, and he was right and walked away.
Oh,
It's not good.
I think I'm the Do we have a phone? We have a meeting.
As long as you guys are okay.
We're good.
Yeah, 2 out of 3, we're okay.
then if everybody's willing, then we can proceed. So, are we?
We call the meeting over.
I call me.
Just like normal.
Okay.
Just have more people there.
Okay.
And it is a board of equalization.
Yes. All right. So I will call the meeting of the Board of Equalization, the Consolidated Board of Equalization to order. And the first item on the agenda is the appeal Tyler and Megan Custis.
Okay, so before we jump into this, I just wanted to address, there are some people that could not make it today. And so I was discussing with Carrie about a potential second day for appeals to be heard. This particular one is on the county level. It's a house that I personally have not been in, and I know that's something that you guys often ask for. If we wait until your next meeting, April 30th, I would not have time to properly prepare a recommendation. So I was wondering if you'd be amenable to adding April 23rd as our second date for appeals.
That work for everyone?
Can we do that as a regular meeting then, too?
Yeah, because I'll have I'll say I have a 2 o'clock that afternoon, if we did it in the morning.
Well, then that way we wouldn't have to have an April 30th meeting. Yeah, we could just move it to April 23rd. Unless there's something you advertised for, Karen.
And that's just county, right?
Yeah, well, right now it's just,
So we should probably talk about that when we reconvene at the county board.
okay, all right, we can do that, that's fine. I just didn't know if there would be anything in the consolidated portion of the consolidated members. But you don't have
It's just the county.
Yes. Yep. So you don't have to make a decision today. If you have further things you want me to look into, that's fine. Also, the way we were gonna set it up would be 15-minute increments. Appellants have 5 minutes of discussion. I have 5 minutes, and then you have 5 further minutes. So we're just gonna try to keep it along. You have 18 total today. So, all right, now we can start with Tyler and Megan.
Okay.
So are you?
Is this an open meeting or?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know who you're here for. Never mind. You're good. Okay, sorry. I was just wondering if you were our first one, but no, you're good. You're
I
good.
didn't know what time, sorry, I'm late, I didn't know.
No, I think you were at, I don't remember, but we will
I
get.
think it was 1:30.
Yeah, yep, perfect.
All right.
Okay, all right. So Tyler sent his letter of appeal. I'll just read that real quick. Dear members of the Clay County Board of Equalization, I am writing to appeal the property tax assessment for my property located at 20 Muirfield Court, Vermillion, South Dakota. I believe that the current assessment does not accurately reflect the true market value of my property. Reasons for appeal. Comparable properties. I have conducted research on similar properties in the area, and their properties sold for significantly less than my property assessment. I request that the board consider recent sales data and adjust my assessment accordingly. Supporting documents. I have attached the following documents to support my appeal. Recent comparable sales. I have attached the Zillow reports for 5 properties that I believe should be taken into consideration when assessing my property. I kindly request that the Clay County Board of Equalization reevaluate my property tax assessment based on the information provided. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I appreciate your consideration and look forward to a fair resolution. Sincerely, Tyler. So if you look at the next few pages, it's the tax Zillow reports. And then when you get to the Excel spreadsheet, just let me know. Yeah.
I know what Zillow is, but I'm not particularly friendly, I don't know it that well. Do they tend to be accurate?
Oh, I'm sorry.
They,
That's the question. What was it?
he's asking about the accuracy of the loan.
Oh. No,
Are they usually quite generous or the other way around?
Well, so he's listing the sale prices, so are those sale prices accurate?
Sale prices are accurate.
they are. Yeah, that's surprising.
Brian, did
Those
you,
are off.
did you want a paper copy?
Sure.
Yeah, there's estimates, I think, have a lot of estimates.
Yeah. But the other thing with his comparables, the years of construction are wider than we thought. And when I saw it, I looked on Beacon and I just looked at his next door neighbor, which was very comparable in square footage, finished and all that. It's right in there. Plus, I know we had talked about a recent sale, which doesn't affect this year, but they're really gonna be unhappy next year.
Okay, so when you come to the first Excel spreadsheet, this is his comparable that he submitted to me with his appeal. You'll notice what I've highlighted. I had some major concerns with some of those comparables, primarily the fact that 4 of his 5 comparables were built more than 10 years prior to his house. As you can see, he has a 2008 mobile home on Muirfield Court. Most of you are familiar with where Muirfield is at, it's outside the golf course. He's on the inside of that loop, so he is not on golf course ground, but it is a newer development. It's a split level home with a finished lower level, and we are assessing it at 121 a square foot. Most of his comparables were, or 2 of them were built in the 60s, 2 in the 90s, and 1 in the 1900s home that had an addition built in 2008. In down south on Dakota, so it's mostly cedar wall, it's very rustic feel. Comparable number 1 and comparable number 5 that were built in the 60s need significant updating. Comparable number 1 has original bathrooms. Comparable 5 has original bathrooms and kitchen, as well as dated wallpaper and that kind of thing. In addition to that, several of these have no garage finish, whereas our accounts don't have a finished garage. The one that I'd say that he submitted that was fairly comparable was 422 South Yale. It was built in 1999, so again, within that 10-year range. 1,600 square feet on the upper or above grade. He has 1,400 above grade. However, this one is in a historic neighborhood. So when it comes to how it sells, the size of the lot, what your neighbor's properties are, well-matured trees, etc., your market for that property is quite different because this is on South Yale. So if you go to the next page, these are the comparables.
So excited on that. So the qualities that you listed, are those things that would affect the land valuation primarily or the building valuation? Building valuation.
Your neighborhood affects your land, your quality and condition, or your cost table on the.
Yeah, and I was specifically thinking about the age of the trees, the lot size, being situated in that neighborhood. Would that be something you would expect to see reflected primarily in the land valuation?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Although I should clarify, we do not assess trees in our office. It's just what you do see a desirability factor amongst buyers, which neighborhoods they're interested in moving to.
I got a question.
Yeah.
You said that this was in, did you say 10 years? Did I misunderstand?
Yeah, when we look for comparables, just because
Because this
we
was
are,
built in 99.
Which was a 10
his
years
house was
since.
built in 2008.
Oh,
And
his
the-
was 2000.
Yeah,
Oh, I
so
understand.
the comparables
Okay.
within, yeah,
I'm off.
yeah.
Sorry.
You're good. No worries. We'll weed out all the issues on the first. All right, so if you look to the next page, these are the comparables that I found. I did send these to him as well. As you can see, there's similar quality conditions, similar neighborhoods. You have Augusta, Pinehurst, and then Brandon and Drive and Natalie Court. So similar to adjacent to golf course properties, not on the golf course, but close by. The only one that I feel is maybe not quite the same is that comp one, just because it has a higher quality, but the rest of them have the same quality and condition. If you look at the bottom 2 rows, you can see what they're assessed for and what they sold for by square footage. My average assessed value per square foot for these comparables was $122.98. My average sale for these comparables was $133.24. And again, our subject is at 121.70. So I feel that this property is market value already. Other questions?
Plus the number of fixtures that is in this house is substantially more than this, I think these other ones are. I think he has 9 fixtures.
Yeah, something like that, yep. Some of his comparables only had 2 bathrooms, or again, their bathrooms, we did remodel, original tiling, original, one of them had the original tub from 1967, so
He's got 5 bedrooms.
that bedroom grew significant.
I don't think his comparables are comparable.
No,
That's not even close.
We'll make a motion to deny the appeal. I'll second it.
There's a motion to deny the appeal and there's a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of denying the appeal, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And just a quick question on my part, is it, moving forward, Carrie, do you remember if it's supposed to be the affirming the assessor value? Okay,
Yeah, because we're not usually supposed to move to not do something, right? So, my fault, right?
no, that's okay, I was, another, again, weeding out all the, all the issues on the first go around.
So should we can do a quick review. And do you want to make a motion to affirm the incentive value?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to affirm the assessor's value. Second.
All right. Motion and a second to affirm the assessor's value. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right. It is, well, we're 15 seconds off. 1:15. So the second appeal is Gregory Kirkman and 405 Sterling.
I'll give you guys a moment to read his letter.
Provided him the things he requested.
I feel like your teacher, look up when you find the Excel sheet. All right. So I was just gonna cover his request at the end of the letter. Go ahead, next question.
Once again, it's a general question. And the fact that he's talking about going up 18%, even 15%, is that typical for everybody?
So I should have started with that. Yes, this year, every house in Clay County went up 18% at minimum, unless it was in a reappraisal area and there were other things that affected it.
So he's right, but that's not how the ordinary.
Correct. Yeah,
Thank you, not lately.
not really.
Yeah, I understand.
Why
10 years ago,
18% and not like 22 or 16 or 20?
So 18% was the increase. Part of it is we have guidance from the state to make sure that our median sale is between 85 and 100. When I started our sales ratio study, I was at 76%. So that we were looking at least at a 9% increase. So I did 15% on the land, 18 on the houses, in addition to our reappraisal. And part of that is because we have a second directive from the state regarding a coefficient of dispersion. We are required to calculate that. That measures our quality of assessment rather than the level of the assessment. So 85 is that level, quality is the coefficient of dispersion. Essentially 20 is bad, lower is better, or 25, I think is where they cap us. And so through all of that, I was trying to decide if more needed to be carried by the land. I looked at our land study, we were already above 90%. So land only got 15, houses got 18.
I'm remembering correctly, from last week's presentation, the state has a pretty heavy stick if we don't manage to get it up, right? So we don't have total leeway there if they determine that we are at 80%.
So if,
85.
if we are below 85, the state comes in and taxes you at 85. So they essentially, if we're at 80, they will raise everyone's value 5% and tax them at that percentage. So it's to everyone's advantage to assess closer to 100 because then you get to roll back. I actually did just get my, this is aside from this, but I did just get my factors. We are assessing at 91%, which means everyone will be taxed at 93.4% of their value. Last year we were at 85.1, everyone was taxed at 99.9. So it's to your advantage that I did the 18%, so now everyone kind of feels everything go back that 6.6% to it.
And another question based on, so a lot of his his argument in here seems to rest on kind of broad inflationary measures, CPI, things like that. But by statute, that is not something that your office is supposed to consider when you're doing your evaluations. Is that right?
Correct. So if everyone goes to the Excel sheet and then goes back one page, these are some of the laws that I compiled with the Department of Revenue to respond to Mr. Bergman with. And I think the last one is particularly important. It is SDCL 10-6-119. I'll just read that. The director shall individually assess each tract of real property at its fair market value. In determining the fair market value of property, the director may not adopt a lower or different standard of value because it is to serve as a basis of taxation. The director may not adopt as a criterion of value the price for which a tract of real property would sell at forced sale or in the aggregate with all other tracts of real property in the county. The director shall determine the fair market value by appropriate consideration of the cost approach, market approach, and the income approach to appraisal. The director shall consider and document all elements of such approaches that are applicable prior to a determination of fair market value. That's the basis of my job.
Yeah, in looking at this particular property and the comparables, you know, it seems that comparable homes with fewer bedrooms and smaller square footage are assessed at the same or even higher. And so this assessment, if anything, looks low to me. It doesn't look high.
I think it's hard to find comparables within his quality condition that are the same square footage. So if you're looking, that was kind of the main thing to me. It does look low. However, his quality is average. Everyone else is good or higher. But again, we were looking at square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms, that kind of thing. Again, I have the averages and medians for him. Average assessed value was 133.77. Average sale value was 137.49. And he is at 103.2. 103.24 and per square foot again, and I believe that's because his quality is a little lower than most of the comparables at the 8 square footage.
I think he's got a pretty good deal at the moment. I can see where he's concerned because he went up $100,000 in 4 years, but he's still, I think, accessible with comparables. I would confirm your assessment.
I'll second that.
The motion to affirm the assessment. There's a second. Any further discussion?
I guess I have one question. I don't see any comparables on Main Street or that or Crestview. Did you look for anything on there?
I did. His home was built in 2013. He's one of the newest ones. He is right on the corner. He's right around the corner from Nicholson.
Yeah.
So I felt the most comparable ones would actually be Nicholson or Natalie Port, Augusta, Oakmont. The one on Oakmont I thought was a very good comparable, built in 2006. That's comp number 1 on the second page.
There's, yeah, they go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then followed by 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
The next one is for Marketplace Vermillion, which is what I believe you are here for.
Yes.
If you would like to speak, you have 5 minutes or.
Yeah, I don't know, never been to one of these, so, I guess we,
If you want to step up to the microphone there.
I'm representing Duke Apartments. We have an accepted offer on this Marketplace for millions, it's supposed to close on the 16th of the month here. I believe it's assessed at 1.5 or somewhere right now, range, or we're paying $1,050,000 for it. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the building, but it's been kind of empty or, kind of mediocre, like in the last, suppose 5 to 10 years, but anyways, yeah, we're just looking for a break on that. Hopefully we can, get it fixed up. I think a few people have projected, needs $200,000 worth of repairs. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but it's rough stuff. I know some soft stuff up front there, so we're gonna work on that, but hopefully, yeah, basically just try to get it rented, and I think as time goes on, if we can get the thing full, or get more people in, obviously we understand that assessment will go back up. It's just looking for a break, trying to help out county for money and get a lot of business action out there, I guess, and so hopefully we can get some new businesses down, so. That's all I got, I guess, so.
So I would first go by the current owner of Marketplace Vermillion. This is the strip mall over by Walmart, just for reference. And then Chuck Stewart also stopped and talked to us, just on basis of the closing happening. We closed auction, so all the bidding was essentially an arm's length transaction, but the other bidders couldn't see what was going on with my understanding of the sale, so we wouldn't consider that a market sale. But looking at the sale price and what we had it assessed for, we originally had it at $1,546,151, which is 500,000 over what it's demanding on the open market. So with the way our office approaches commercial is by occupancy. It's the structures, what it's made out of, whether it's steel, masonry, or frame, and then what it's used for determines the value of the finishes, whether it's an office, whether it's an automotive center. In this case, we had it as a neighborhood shopping center. It assumes there's some form of anchoring business and then tenant build outs for the rest. So the percentage for how much of it is what type of structure, there's usually at least one restaurant, which was true for this with the. However, being as they're all vacant and need significant remodeling in the tenant spaces, we decided that the more appropriate occupancy, which you can see I've included here, is I believe it's right after the letter, is number 460. It says Shell Neighborhood Shopping Center. So this pair of occupancies is used to individually price the shell and the tenant improvements. So a neighborhood shopping center shell is a row of open, unfinished store spaces comprising a single line of storefronts with individual service entrances in the rear. It's a small one-story project that may or may not support a major anchor, and then it goes on. I believe this more accurately describes the property as it stood on November 1st last year. So we switched it from neighborhood shopping center with the tenant spaces included and essentially removed the tenant spaces by switching into a shell. So this is something we're understanding will go up as those tenant spaces are remodeled. If you go to the Excel sheet, you'll see what we changed in that occupancy, and it did bring it down significantly to a number of $1,030,181. But again, that is right in line with the market value on the open market, which is what we're supposed to assess. I think it's also interesting if you look at your improvement price per square foot before and after versus the sale price per square foot. It's right mentioned.
And so the improvement didn't go to zero. We're considering that the spaces do have some build out in them that does have some value, but it might not be appropriate to the next tenant.
Essentially unfinished tenant.
Okay.
So it is my recommendation, you can see on the next page, I contacted the sellers and they were amenable to the buyer signing my recommendation. So I had Chuck come and sign. My recommendation is that we change the value to 1,030,181. And then as they're able to finish those 10 spaces, we can add them on individually.
Move to approve the recommendation.
Second.
There's a motion to approve the recommendation and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Now get it filled up.
I'll get it filled up.
Work on it. Thank you, guys.
And it's 1:28, so we've got a little bit of time. Yeah, start the next one.
I don't think they were attending, so we can carry on. If you guys are okay with that? I did assign everyone times in case they were attending, but I know for this one, they did not.
Okay.
Is this one a recommendation? Is that?
Yeah.
Yep, so those we can move on those.
So, this is the O'Reilly Auto Enterprises building.
So, starts with their appeal letter. They filled out a PT 17. Their reason for appealing is the assessment of this property increased by 15% from 23 to 24. A very similar property located at 900 West Cherry Street in Vermillion sold for $59 a square foot in 2020. An adjacent retail building located at 400 Bower Street appears to be close to 100% vacant. That's the one that we just sold. I apologize, I did not include, they sent an income appraisal and a sales comparison appraisal to me, and I thought it made it in the packet, but it didn't. Basically, they made an income appraisal coming out at $81.76 a square foot. And their sales comparison appraisal was $69.13 a square foot. I dug a little further into the sales that we currently had. And my sale comparison came out to $82.82 a square foot. So much closer to their income appraisal. After looking at my comparables, which you can take a look at there. I determined comp number 5 and 6 are not incredibly good appraisals just because they're older buildings. One is in process of being remodeled and the other one hasn't had much done to it since the sale in 2020. I also was able to add in a 2023 sale. Number 4. So, based on the fact that my sales comparison matched their income approach very fairly closely, I called a few other counties just to see what they did with O'Reilly. Commercial is something I'm still learning. And if we flip back to our occupancies again, we have O'Reilly then as an automotive center, which assumes there is a service garage. That adds a significant amount to their appraisal. So in conferencing with a few of our surrounding counties that have O'Reilly's, they advised me that the way they entered O'Reilly's in their commercial occupancy is a retail store with a storage warehouse. So Melissa and I went out, we measured it, re-entered it into our system as retail with that storage warehouse, because that's a more accurate description of how O'Reilly's is used. That brought our total value to $552,704, which is $80.33 a square foot. So right in line with the income and the sales comparison that I conducted. So I'm recommending that we change O'Reilly's value to $552,704. Any questions?
And so Sturdivant's is an automotive center?
That's something we'll look at this next year.
Okay.
No, they're not either.
No, I was gonna, I guess that was a.
Yeah.
Are they indeed? I don't think that they are,
No.
but even with that potential potentially more valuable classification, still we've got pretty comparable values, very similar sizes, similar uses,
And-
similar locations. Those-
And when you look at Sturgis, I think rather than looking at what we assessed it at, you look at your sale. Or maybe- Anyway, it is more comparable to do retail with.
So the new tire store next door will be Buffalo Service.
Blaine's Auto Body, service.
Henderson's.
Henderson, yeah, thank you.
So move to approve the recommendation.
Second,
There's a motion and a second to approve the recommendation. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed?
I believe the rest of mine are recommendations as well. So another recommendation I have is for Noel Ballard's mobile home was torn out and we just moved it last fall. So taxes were paid, talked to the treasurer's office about that, so I'm just recommending we remove the mobile home value because it's not there.
move to approve, or move to, yes. Remove that mobile homes value.
Second.
Right, there's a motion and a second. This is the easiest one we have.
How much is it worth if it's not there? Nothing.
Any further discussion?
So they paid the taxes already?
Yeah.
So that, do they know they can get an abatement then?
They have to tear it down.
Well, they paid the taxes on it was,
The 2024. They haven't been
okay,
assessed.
so
for
they
next
didn't pay
year.
this year's. Yeah,
The mobile home was removed between November 1st and March 1st of that
okay.
Yeah, is it like December, right?
Yeah,
December last year.
December.
So payable next year, okay.
So it existed in, in November.
No, I'm just saying they can't tear it down without paying the taxes. So that treasurer's office takes care of the tax side of it.
Okay.
I don't have to track that. They just tell them if they're allowed to tear it down or not.
Good looking out though.
Well, usually if it's torn down, they can get their money back if it's in tax. That's what I was.
Okay.
Other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carries.
So this gentleman actually purchased the home April 24th of 2023 for $265,000. We assessed it at 313,588. So well above what we worked with them last year. So we went out and reappraised it, and if you look at the first Excel sheet there, your total square foot finished, right above the detached garage. We found that we had a lot of basement under additions that have been made to the home along the years that is not basement, it's crawl space and slab. So our total finished square footage went from 3,284 down to 2,668. So that's 600 square feet of finished area that was not there. The other thing is that he is in the process of remodeling a few things, but overall the condition of the home is pretty average for his age. It's not above average, so we did drop that condition. And as well as adding 2 plumbing fixtures that we did not have prior. The other significant change with the outbuildings, we found a utility shed out back, and then the garage was sketched partially in as an open porch rather than garage. So in correcting all of that, we arrived at a new value of 264,170, which is less than $1,000 off of what we paid for it just this summer. So I would recommend that we change it to that.
He didn't have an appraisal.
No, it was not. It wasn't an open market sale. It was like an assumption, I guess you could say, of somebody who purchased it the year before. I don't understand all the open holds of that. I also included quite a few comparables. After reappraisal, we were assessing this property at $80.49 a square foot. The sale was $80.80 a square foot, and my average sale is $89.55. So I think he's one of the lucky ones that got the. As far as market value goes, he didn't quite pay full market, but I believe that our reappraisal is much more in line with what this property is worth.
Sorry, that is, sorry, right, have you, talked with the owner and about this?
Yes, yes,
Access and this school?
yes, he signed my recommendation. I apologize. That is, like the fourth page and.
Okay, I know.
No, you're okay, but right after the Excel sheet. No, we definitely talked to him because we walked through his house, yeah.
Excellent.
I think the biggest flag was the R square footage not matching up with what his was.
I move to accept the recommendation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion?
Is this considered a detached garage?
That used to be an attached garage with an office space now, and then he has a detached garage off to the side. I must not have included that picture.
Yes.
I didn't know if that was a garage door or what that was. Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Hey, David and Don Benz, right down the street.
I will go ahead and just read their reason for appealing and then let me know when we get to the assessment sheet. We do not believe the new assessment value of $382.38 takes into account the aging condition of our home. The house is in need of major remodeling and repair. Most all in-house furnishings, toilets, cupboards, fixtures are original to the house and out of date. The upstairs bathroom is in need of repair as the wood behind the tiles and the shower surround has rotted to the point of caving in, and the replacement finish on the tub has worn off. When we talked to a contractor about remodeling the bathroom, we told him we had a $30,000 budget, we were basically locked up. We estimate that it would take at least $50,000 to $80,000 just to remodel the bathroom. When we had water leaking through our ceiling and called a plumber to repair it, he told us that our copper pipes are old and corroded, and all of our plumbing would need to be replaced in the near future. The furnace is 14 years old with a 13 to 20-year life expectancy. Does not adequately heat and cool our home and also needs to be replaced. The windows are original, do not all open and need to be replaced. Concrete dried is cracked and swelling and needs to be replaced. The shingles on the roof are 16 years old and will need to be replaced soon.
You know, it looks like he signed off on it.
So something worth noting is that we do not actually accept driveways currently. I know there's some counties that possibly do, our county does not have that policy. However, we did go out and reappraise this home as well, did a walkthrough. And as you can see on the Excel sheet, when we started out, we were appraising them at good quality and good condition. There's quite a bit that needed repair in their home. So we did drop the quality to 30 plus. Their countertops were not as expected, either laminate versus wood. And then condition just being average for 1967 rather than good. I believe we changed some of the finish. It was sketched in so that there was an overhang in the upstairs and the garage was short. And that was opposite of how it actually was. So we lost a little square footage there. And then the basement was not partition finish, which is the same quality of finish as we have upstairs. It was wreck finish, concrete block walls, drop down ceiling. So altogether, the new value that I recommend is 302,751. That would be affecting them at 93.98 per square foot.
Move to approve the recommendation. Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the recommendation. Any other questions or? Comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then the next appeal is Michelle Maloney and Heather Murray.
So Michelle reached out to us, just her knowledge of the real estate. She didn't believe that her downtown property would be able to sell for what we had it assessed at when we sent out the notice. You're assessing at 173,760. We went and walked through it, found out that due to it being a retail space, we did have some finish in the basement that wasn't there. And then back half of her property is not heated, it's mostly storage. So we did that, and then I also looked at just the comparable sales that have happened. A few of them have sold. Comparable number one was not on open market. They sold it to, I believe it was an adjacent business owner, but I still think that reflects market value when you look at other sales there. One of the major things I found was sort of in the way that we do an effective age for properties that have been remodeled. They applied for, the building is on the historic register, so there's a certain application you do when you're remodeling those. And when they finished the remodel, we put an effective age in that essentially brought the value up quite a bit more than it probably should have. So what we did, my practice when I find those, because some of these have been in there for a long time. My practice is you take the year that it's finished remodeling, the year you started to or the age of the building when it was built, and split it in the middle, depending on how much remodeling happened. So if it's more extensive remodeling, you go up with your age. If it's not as extensive, you go down with that effective age. In the case of hers, most of it was just like making sure the plaster wasn't cracked anymore. It still had the original floors, original ceilings, that kind of thing. So our original effective age was 1985, but based on it being built in 1920 and the remodel finishing in 2020, that's 50 years. So if you put it in 1970, you essentially aged the building 15 more years, if that kind of makes sense. And so it put 15 more years of depreciation on it, and that's where we get our drop in value from 173,760 down to 104,674. But look at what we're selling for. We've got an average sale of 53.44, a median sale of 52.92. So I think 47.97 a square foot is right in line with what we have needed for sales downtown.
Move to approve the recommendation. Second.
Here's the motion and a second to approve. Are there any questions or?
Bodies improving opt-outs does not affect the assessed value of the properties. Or was that in the letter
Oh,
there?
was that in the letter?
I was like,
No.
I don't think that particular
No.
item was.
Yeah.
Part of this discussion.
We mean, last month I said many times, I'm not looking at your taxes when I look at your value. Yep. All right.
Good thank you.
And again, Michelle Maloney. So we have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The last one. Right, so this is a property on 2506 East Main Street. It's the log cabin out just off of East Everett. The property owner had an appraisal done, I believe it was April 10th of 2020. And that is what they're basing their appeal on, is this professional appraisal. So that, I'll just read it through. The value of an appraisal conducted by the construction loan lender came in at 248. Bank's name is First Premier Bank of Default, which is significantly lower than the assessed value. Please see the professional appraisal document attached with the objection to real property assessment. So in their opinion, the full and true value is 248, which is their construction loan appraisal, plus the 15,000 that they paid for the land. For total of 263 is what they are asking for.
But doesn't an appraisal have to be within a year for it to be valid? For this purpose?
And I skimmed the appraisal and it does say that the effective date of the report is April 10th, 2020. We know the market has changed pretty significantly since then.
And a construction appraisal is different than a regular appraisal.
Yes, it was based on a hypothetical condition of the property being built.
Yep.
It was appraised entirely based on a building permit. They did inspect the property at the time of their appraisal report, but there was that little paragraph. So I included, in my comp sheet, I included the comps they had in the appraisal. Some of them have actually sold again since that original appraisal report for much higher values. Particularly 1801 Bonnie, which is comp number 4, and comp number 5, 1591 Brandon Drive. Those were both used in the appraisal and then sold again.
It does look like, the owner has agreed with you in the appraisal.
They have not.
They haven't.
So I did,
Oh,
they did
there's
not
no
sign off
signature.
on my recommendation. My recommendation of value based on, we did finally get to go look at the house. We haven't, kind of missing their schedule. They don't live in Vermillion, so haven't been able to actually do a walkthrough. And we discovered we had the top level drawn in as a 2-story instead of a 1.5-story. It's an open lofted area and there's sloping roofs. There's definitely less square footage on the second story. The other thing is that I did drop the quality from good quality to good minus. That being it's a log cabin, you go inside, the walls are log and shaking. It would not be, I would say if you wanted to put a TV on the wall and hide the cords, it would be much more of a process than if you had sheetrock walls. The other thing that makes me drop the quality is the fact that this is within city limits, but does not have all of the city's amenities. They have their own sewer system, even though they have city electrical and gas, I believe. So there are certain other things from the city side that Aruba Edition has not gotten yet, just because it is the only house built out there. That was another point of contention with this appellant. And I think the sewer system is really the only thing I have, anything that I could actually do with as far as market value of the home being affected by lack of amenities. So all in, my recommendation was to drop it to 318, 8113. And they did not sign off on it. I'm not sure. And they did end up listing it this weekend for $399. I think that's going down. Again, that's future sale value, so that's not current sale value, that's next year. But it's worth noting that they put it on the market this week.
Are you comfortable with the 318?
I think the changes I made are necessary as far as square footage being more accurate.
Did you consider a lower assessment value?
I try to be as unbiased as possible when I'm making changes. That's why with that effective age I explained with Maloney, I've had to come up with a policy for that. Because it's something that it's hard to just play with and justify or doing that. I think Clay County has a really good history of not doing that, and I would love to not start that. So even though 318 may seem low, again, we've seen some other Kirkman's, for example, looks low on paper. This gentleman also does not have a garage. And so it's like, there's things like that. Will it actually end up selling for $399? I don't know. I think it's worth noting that he determined it to be 263, but listed it for $399. I think the most accurate way to be able to compare this property for sale ratio purposes is to set it at 318, because the changes in there are I think our cost tables needed to be changed to that, if that's what I'm saying.
Much like all move to approve the recommendation.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the recommendation. Any further discussion? Yeah, I mean, the change in the square footage, the lack of a garage. That makes sense.
When the personal sewer system, most people living there didn't get in, it's on them to do that.
I've got a, doesn't pertain to anything particular, but I have a question with the two-year appraisal or assessments. Are loft bedrooms considered bedrooms?
We don't always consider it a bedroom, but we will consider it finished space. I've done a lot of digging into ANSI standards, American National Standards Institute, especially for those sloped ceilings. Your ceiling starts at 5 feet. So anything 5 feet and taller is finished space.
I know the city doesn't recognize it in rental property. They can't have a loft bedroom. Just curious.
Yeah, there was a door to the bedroom upstairs, more like a sitting area.
Well, so that I can leave, I'm gonna call the question.
Wait, do we have to go through the vote for call the question?
You do.
You do, okay, the question's been called. All those in favor of calling the question, say aye. Opposed? Okay, the question is called. All those in favor of the assessor's revised recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thanks,
Motion
everybody.
And I believe that is it for our consolidated board. Unless anyone has any further questions on that.
All right, well, thank you.
Do we need to move to adjourn the
We
consolidated
do,
board?
we do. Is there a motion?
Adjourn, reconvene in the county board.
There's a motion to adjourn and to reconvene in the county board. Is there a second? Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you guys
Thank you
so
very
much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. You made it very.
Hi. It's a lot of papers, I know.
The board against me out here. We'll see what happens. I won't say. There's gotta be something.
Sherry did, Brian.
No.
did- oh, okay, everyone got both of that.
Not quite that old.
Warren said that. It's the city,
Oh, no.
so
Okay, no.
I was there doing the Zoom meetings, my other job.
You're fine, no, you're fine.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So, the next appeal is Philip.
Daryl Henderson is here. And no, that's okay. With these, I do have time set for like first 6, but everything else is as time allows. So we start with Henderson Revocable Trust. That is appeal number 17. Sure. We're all early. I like it.
All right.
Okay, Daryl, did you want to say anything or? Because you can if you want to.
Well, the only thing I got to say is, I think at the local level, I think we're working at this fine. I think we need to go higher up the state. Because some of this stuff, when they're using soil survey and samples on this pasture ground, I do not think it's fair. Some of this ground that was pasture that hasn't been farmed for about 75 to 100 years got moved up quite a bit. And I do know you take something away, you need to add something, you need somebody to allocate. I realize that. But I don't think these soil samples on some of this pasture ground is the right way to look at it.
Yeah, and sadly, that state statute, there's not much we can
I know, but
you can do about it.
can we start working at local level and remind them up there that maybe they should come and take a look at this
The next step is actual cost.
actual cost?
So, I mean,
You've got some of the same drum stuff too, those straps. You see it, you know what I'm talking about.
yeah, I mean, it's tough when the productivity model was the least of the evils,
Yeah,
the one we have right now.
Yeah.
Because they were pushing for actual cost. So
yeah,
if it's sold for $5,000 an acre in its pasture, that's what you're gonna get taxed.
I know. See,
And that's gonna put us out of business if you do that on farm ground.
that's, see, and that's the only reason I'm feeling this thing.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look right. I mean, some of this stuff on that particular piece I got has been farmed probably 75, 100 years ago, a little square here, a little square there. And it increased the evaluation by 38%. And it's
Yeah.
the usefulness of it is texture, that's it. You got side hills the same way, don't you, Travis?
Mm-hmm.
And is there anything we can do farther up to try and correct this or not?
I'm afraid they'll correct it the wrong way,
Okay,
because we're still fighting to.
Yeah.
On another board, we're constantly fighting them. The taxation process.
I know, well, it's pretty easy to sit on a computer screen and look at this stuff, you know. When they come on and look at it physically. Maybe if they would, I don't know what the answer is. That's my complaint.
Our hands are kind of tied with the productivity model.
Yeah,
If that's the soil it is, that's where we have to tax it.
yeah.
But it sucks.
Well, in your personal opinion, it's not right, is it, Travis?
Well, no.
But I mean, that's just personal opinion. Not political opinion, I know.
We try and go, they're looking at actual use,
Yeah,
which then this would be pasture.
yeah,
But then that's gonna skew all the other taxable properties.
I know, because it doesn't own my 80 acres of pasture.
Right.
It's all over the whole county and all over the whole state.
Which I would be more in favor of the actual use. But we have properties that have been put into the WRP programs. Where they got paid for the farm ground and then set aside. Well, it's farm ground, but they put it into grass as a management decision. And now that would be considered grass,
Yeah,
fallow,
yeah.
and be taxed that way. And I don't think that's right.
No, and I know, for example, some of these places that buy a chunk of land and they got 5, 10 horses and they run on there, and it's highly productive ground. That's not right to be that pasture ground.
No, or $10,000 an acre hunting ground.
Yes, so.
So I don't know how it's a problem. I'm just scared how to fix it.
I know, and I don't think it's gonna get.
And like I said, this is the least of the evils out
Yeah,
Well, if you don't mind me jumping in at that point. So I did mention my non-ag factors at the beginning of the consolidated board meeting. My ag factors came back and we are now assessing ag at 100%, which means our factor will be 85% for ag, which is good news. So with this particular piece, something that the state allows, and so I will be following up on all of our ag appeals for the last few years this summer, is that you allow ag adjustment. They have specific reasons set forth in state law. I didn't make note of that at CPL. But for Daryl's particular piece of ground, if you take a look at the first 2 images there, we're looking specifically at ground that's always been pastured, but it lies between Broad Creek Road and Broad Creek. So there's access to it, but it's kind of a narrow strip of land between those 2 things. Got some draws and that kind of stuff that make it just not as easily useful as crop ground. So kind of following suit what we did last year until I have more guidance from Department of Revenue on adjustment. My recommendation was that we take 8.486 acres of EDB soil and then 8.226 acres of EDA soil and drop them 25%. And the adjustment reason being the location makes it harder to crop.
Because that's on the floodplain, right? They're talking on the bottom of it. Okay.
So if you look at those images, everything in green is still pasture, it's the stuff that's not in green that's now considered crop. But you can see from the imagery where there's kind of those big divots where the water flows. But we'll do some follow-up this summer to make sure we have it all squared away by the state, but, if you look at my Excel sheet, it was, I mentioned what those would be, and the value would go from 182,468 to 168,672.
I'll move to approve your recommendation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Thank you.
Well, thank you for listening. And you can see what the problem will be. And it's up above us. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate your time.
You make that look so easy.
Next,
So we do have my calculator here, so this is appeal number 11 and the number.
okay,
Sorry, making me jump around.
that's all right.
Yeah.
We'll do maybe one at a time to your own number.
Do you want to go early, Mike?
Why,
Since
sure.
you're here?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm too old to learn anymore by watching, so I just want to get at it, right? Well, I guess, well, starting with ours, the house deal is kind of the main one that we're looking at, and I was looking at. And I guess being a little kid, who always paid attention to what, you know, was talked about business wise ever since I was a little kid. Like, I remember Dad and Grandpa said they built the house that were in question up here and the open front hall confinement for $7,500 back in 1969. So of course, fourth reason why it's last year it was valued at $49,173. That was something 2023. So what was the average that went up for across the county? Was it like 18%?
18%, and then outbuildings went up 3% for average properties.
That's what I said that he said, or that Tom had said too. So I guess my thoughts were, unless we had an absolutely awful assessments up until this last year, if that went up by 20%, well, of course, you still ruffled your feathers a little bit, but that'd have been about $8,195.60 if we're really precise. And so that would put the valuation at $49,173 versus your appraisal for them at 73 something. The only real difference is, when was the last time that they were on and physically appraised?
It was 2009.
2009. So when the house was built, Mom and Dad had carpet through the whole thing. Well, it's half buried in the ground. Two back sides of the house are, you know, stick out of the ground about 4 foot. So it always created a moisture deal. So when I moved in there, finally, I removed all the carpet through the whole house and either stained the original flooring that was in there, the 1x4 soft iron, fur, I believe it is, for us in the living room and the kitchen area where there'd already been some stuff Mom had done. I couldn't redo that for us or put down the snap down flooring. And the only remodeling done in the kitchen was I knocked out the original wall. Connie wanted that gone, so we put a countertop there and just replaced the covers accordingly that hung on that wall. So I guess my feeling is, you know, virtually just about doubling the value in a year is pretty tough. If it would have went to 50,000, I went, ooh, and lived with that, I wouldn't be here today. So I guess that's kind of where I was standing on the whole thing. So my
my opinion on some things, like if we compare this or moving on to the trail house to the next segment, like a tractor that we bought a few years ago, you know, we paid this much for it, so you about take another third on top of that now. But as a businessman looking at it, I do my financial statements for the bank, I don't do that. I'll keep it where I, you know, purchased it. I figured, well, it's a false inflation to, you know, add on an extra on. And I believe right now we're kind of in a false inflation environment. I mean, out of the pandemic, everything, it cost us surged so much, so. I think that's kind of where some of these things fall to. I know you guys are in a tough spot. Fooling publics that spend more, so now you get the job of where does it come from? So that's what we percent type thing has to come from that type of business.
That doesn't actually factor into it.
But
That's not how we come up with the assessed value. That's her job. How we come up with our budget's completely different.
Yeah.
People think we raise their taxes because we're spending more.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Where does it come from?
Well, we figure out how much we're gonna get and then we have to create the budget around that.
But I mean, for the shortfall, you're gonna have more that you gotta spend now. Every year obligated to was, you know, the jail or at the city level, and you have to get all the schools, so.
Right, but that's an opt-out,
Yeah.
which doesn't affect your assessed value. They're completely separate things.
Yeah. It's still more dollars.
Oh, yes, you're paying more, but it doesn't affect your assessed value.
Yeah, we're required by the state to assess based on market value or income or the base of farmland crop, you know, kind of soil it is. And, you know, we're required to keep that assessment up a minimum of 85% of market value. And so what really matters is how you compare to other properties. And yeah, so there's not a direct relationship between taxation and revaluation. So when we revalue, what we're trying to do is just make sure that in relation to every other property, yours is fair. So that you're paying your fair share of the tax side.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah. And ours is a very unique house that folks built. I know the dad was forward thinking. I know I used to go to Beardall, and they had a house in Yankton. That was the only other built house in the country that could think of. There's nothing else around that I know of at all. I think it's really, they, like say, they build it kind of into the ground, half of it on two sides is half buried under the ground, and efficient to eat that way. But I don't know why Dad never looked up north and seen the slough of Sterling Peterson's field, because it's always been a water problem there, so. But he's gone, and that's been. So anyway, I would have been way more accurate around that 50,000, and, you know, sort of you're taking a roughly 50% hit versus almost 80-90% what it turns out on this year, so. That's kind of the position. So.
And I can, you know, speak to for butter, place of a theater and Benny said. We need to be within 95 to 100% of market value. Would you sell your property for 60,000? Probably not.
The house,
Yes.
yeah, well, I don't know. It's never been an intention to ever sell it.
Well, I know
Since 1869, so.
As time moves on, the value goes up, and we, by state statute, have to be within that value of what, if it was on the open market, what it would sell for. You know, so even at 60,000, I think it's sell, probably not at the assessed value, something on the open market.
Plus, we have to equal valuation between the township, which you're really on the very low end at $33 a square foot. I mean, you're actually even higher than the Octagon House west of Mike Mays. You're lower than lower than the Octagon House west of Mike.
Is that ever been seen? Some of them roads, you know, I heard, I've never been down, never dated any girls there, they had plenty of other places to offer, so.
Right, so I can just explain my position quickly. We reappraised Pleasant Valley Township this past summer, found, some significant things like Mike had said, we hadn't been out there since I believe it was 2000. I'm looking at the picture and it actually looks like 2008. If I had said 2009, so that's a good 15 years since we had reappraised the area. When we went through Mike's house, we realized that we had it sketched in as a frame house instead of masonry house. So that in and of itself adds value. We also changed the quality of the home from poor to fair. We find most brick houses hold up a little more, and for it being a 1967 home, we determined that fair was a more accurate description of the quality of the house. We also. Oh, the last change that I noticed, the way that Mike and I actually talked about it yesterday, the way I've always been told his house was built was that it was a basement that never got finished. It was essentially just a basement and it was supposed to have a second story and never did. So because of that, we've left a functional on there, but it was at a 60% functional, and I feel like a 50% functional is more fair than 60, especially trying to equalize everyone. I compared into kind of our odd duck properties, is what I call them. We had 3 homes sell that all need major remodeling or are in process of being remodeled. So I compared them to their pre-remodel value for 1, 2, and 3. And you can see that those all sold for over $45 a square foot. And then the next page is our other odd duck properties, and I do have the octagon house and then there's the geodesic house as well. And those are 36 a square foot and 83 a square foot. I guess I would recommend that you return it to my assessed value of the house being 71,401 on the land and buildings as well as we assessed them for 2024.
Said yesterday, I know that it was originally designed to be a 2-story. But as kids all got raised, the markets went bad or whatever, and so, you know, never got second story put on.
That's kind of the basis for that 50% functional. When you look at our cost tables, the value allocated to above grade square footage versus below grade square footage.
People would question, but most people at some of it, it showed 7 fixtures, what is it like fixtures? Exactly.
Wherever you have a hot or cold hookup, that also connects your main sewer system and probably our basis. So your toilet only has a cold hookup, but it's connected to your main sewer system. Sinks, water heater, toilet, washer dryer, and then shower tub.
I mean, looking at it, most comparable properties are stuff that I would use. So, you know, it's hard to say it should be lower based on just fairness.
Was the township, you said the average is 49, correct? On a square foot basis.
No, I was just saying that the 2 sales that were comparable were 45. I don't have my average.
Okay, no, that's fine.
The previous appraisal we were working off, really not bad.
No, it's just that market values have gone up. I mean,
Well,
that's
I mean,
basically what's needed.
But everything else on the old appraisals were based off of the old appraisals, so, you know, why is there such a, you know, the understand what I mean now. I mean, we're using the old appraisal up until this
Right.
summer.
Because we can't do them now.
Balance,
I mean, she doesn't have enough staff to do every year.
So if you're right, Travis, it was 49.95 is the average for these comparables.
Oh, those comparables, okay.
I excluded comparable number 7, it's a 2016 home, it's masonry and it's like addition, so I did not use that one when I just calculated that. Because that one's 174 a square foot.
It's way out there.
Yep.
I understand your concerns, but like you said, it's, you're at $33 square foot. That's pretty reasonable. And like I said before, the value's gone up and you, I guess, consider yourself fortunate that you got some, I think, good pass the last few years. Or praise value, because stuff has steadily been going up. And I know this isn't a big jump, but I think it's still a fair market value. Being in real estate, any acreage property like this, would be listed for twice that money, easy. So, and I understand you have no intention to sell, it's family property, but it still has to be market value for the state at that range. So I'll move to it.
Second.
A motion and a second to affirm the native recommendation. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
I
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then we've got a second for the property.
Yeah.
And
actually Cody's name now, but he's in Las Vegas today, so I got lucky that I work cheap, I don't do that. Yesterday, when we met, I got this, all of the mobile homes in Clay County, I guess. So I sat and looked at it, and we talked yesterday, there's some on there that are outrageously high, which were new double wides and, that kind of thing. So sent me last night, I'm playing around with the numbers. I took anything that was, the one was $58,073. So I took that and anything that was over that and put it into a separate category all by itself, very much so it was to do with double wides. And this list doesn't show any ages on the properties that are listed there. The one that the folks have is a 19, or well, Cody has now is a 1992. So it's 32 years old, which in a mobile home is getting a stretched out age pretty much there. So then on the rest of the sheet here, I done my math right. Well, I took anything from that 85, 96. I didn't take some of the really low ones because essentially, they're not really favorable. So to be kind of fair, I tried to pick a median area. So I took the 85, 96 to the 58, 73. And that came up to like 23, 925 average. And that was leaving Cody's in there where it's appraised by the name of this unit. So I'm saying just working off the stats I have here, work with. And so that would give a median for an average there of, let's say, 23,925. How old were the bulk of those in that age category? I don't know. I didn't like saying that was not cheap, so I couldn't tell that. But last year, it was valued at $9,831. So if you took the 18% increase on that, that would brought it up to $11,600. And I know our personal conversations at home, we talked about after Mom had passed and Cody bought Sterling Pierce's property in Farm Creek Road, we were talking about what to decide to sell it. And like personal conversations were, well, could you get 10,000? It figured with its age and most cities don't want something that old coming into a lot, or even if the city will allow it, with a lot of them will allow it. You know, that's the two sides of it there, so here you probably have to sell it to somebody that want to put it on another farm side, or maybe in his lot or something like that, so we're kind of, like say, leaning towards that 10,000 figure, but if it went up to 20%, that would be 11,600 versus the, was it 27,000? I think 27 and change, which is a pretty hefty deal. That's 270% increase. So that's my logic on numbers.
Does this, mobile home, does it have a peak roof?
No, they actually, folks put steel over it a few years ago, but it is peak. It's peak, yeah.
Okay.
And then 2 years ago, we had a duration, but part of the tree right next to it went through the steel and into the bathroom back there, so we had to fix that. So I think that cost us about $5 million. That was all the other, so
Vinyl siding, steel siding, what's it have?
it's fine.
So it's new enough where it has vinyl windows in it and
They're metal frame, I believe, you know, kind of wood around them and then you slide on.
Double hung. So nobody's lived in this since 2018?
Cody lived in it when he got back from college. Well, in college, the older boy, he come back and then there's a few months last year. Then he got mad at us and he left, so he said again to that, so.
And we're just, this is just on the trailer house.
Right, yep. It is not valued as a land or outbuilding, it's truly on lease site. So it's just the mobile home.
Okay, so it's on the east side. It's got a porch on it. It's cute.
So I guess reappraisal. This hadn't been looked at since, it was there in 2008. But we hadn't been there since 2008. So we were able to get inside and walk through and just, noticing quality condition, decided if it needed updated. And so I actually went through all of our rural mobile homes by hand and tried to make sure that they were on the cost table system now. In our conversion a few years ago from Terra Scan to ProVal, getting the mobile homes from our 2009 cost table to our 2013 cost table was a little bit of a struggle. So I tackled the rural ones this year. If you look at this sheet of building value, you can see most of them did go up. To come up with my median, I left in a lot of our flat value ones that are pretty much what people are paying for running here is what we're seeing. We had quite a few people purchase these old mobile homes just so they could use the running gear underneath for the values we flat valued them at. So these are all of our buildings that are on land owned by those people. And I think some of the most comparable ones that I wanted to highlight, if you scan and find Cody's name, and then right below it is Abel's rental. That one's at 32,000. Go down 2 more, Jason Hartman, this is another house that we were in our review this summer, 35,000. And then, just because they have a permit out and we've been to it a few times, if you go down to the Rivers Point, it's, 12,09151, 45115 is the parcel number. That one's at 40,000, but that one also has some portraits. I feel like those are the most comparable to what we saw when we walked through it this summer. I didn't include anything on each site just because I did include lease site tags because those are the types of people on the ground. But there were a few I didn't include, and I just wanted to highlight my lack of bias. My parents' mobile home was 15,857 last year, and now it's 36,741. 1998 mobile home, similar, it just has shingle roof. So I did all the mobile homes.
Did they appeal?
No, but they weren't happy. Almost got
I was gonna say,
uninvited to
If
Easter.
somebody doesn't appeal, that's their fault. They're either say it's all right, or they're scared to do it, or, you know, so.
Well, I went through all the rurals this year and tried to make sure they were more in line with neighboring properties and similar.
On that one, as you mentioned before, would I sell the house for 50,000? Somebody come along and offer us 27 for this, I think we found it down the road.
I think somebody probably would give you that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, he said he thinks it was down the road, not 100% down the road.
Well, the biggest problem is you get that willow tree out in front and then
So you talked about this Richard Abel,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, is it similar looking?
Very.
Very.
Pull it up on the good place real quick. And it's in the same township. So
About 2 miles, 2.5 miles apart.
Similar in age to the late 90s.
So the porch is a little bigger, it's enclosed, and then you have a deck on the other side of it, so that's part of the
That adds the $5,000.
$500 difference.
So this. I'm trying to picture where this is.
Where his is at?
Yeah,
you know, where Claro water plant is up here, sure.
Yeah.
We're a half, well, first corner south of that, half west, half south.
okay.
Right up where Milton Dick River.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah. I'm live on 309, so.
Oh. Sixty-nine. I found the original homestead documents in the bank there. Yeah, absolutely. Signed over, this is S3.
Did you want to get that, but
No, I'm good. I know where it's at now. It's at different, that area.
I'll move to accept Lena's recommendation.
I'll second that, we're comparable, and I think it's valued right. Market value.
So we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
So
Well, if you do, we want to know how much.
yeah, I'll bet you do.
That would help us.
We take that.
Sure. Take 5 minutes. Yeah.
yeah, we started.
All right, so Philip Hassman. 302nd Street.
So this is one that I brought back from the county boards. I think there was some confusion. He tore a house down back in 21 or 22, and so we had no building value. Went out there to check after it had come down. And he still has quite a few improvements. You can see those on that second page there. So he went into the local board because there was improvement value on his assessment notice and said, well, I tore the house down. So the board took all the improvement value off, but I'm recommending that we put the improvement value back on because they're still there.
We just tore the house down, all the other outbuildings.
And again, there was one year where he did not have improvement value. I'm not sure if that was a local board decision the year before the house down, they took all the value on. I didn't look that far into it, but I know that there was a year where there was no improvement value, so I think it's a miscommunication.
We got improvement.
So, move to approve your recommendation.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Saving food. So the next one would be Jeffrey Lomo.
And what time did I say this would be?
That is 3:30. So we got. Should we wait
I
on
haven't
that?
heard from him. I also haven't heard from Halverson. So let's move on to. Halverson was not attending.
So should we do Halverson and then circle back to,
And then we can continue through the rest.
so Halverson would be on Timber Road.
They appealed at the local level and the local board made them change. We, Tom Tracy Halverson, are submitting this letter in appeal of our assessed value of our house on the property of 46046 Timber Road. Upon receipt of our real estate assessment notice this year, we see that our assessment of our house and property has increased by 59,400 from last year's assessment. In 2022, we were assessed at 365,458, and in 23, we were assessed at 404. We appealed the 38,542 increase, and the county assessor agreed with us and lowered the assessed value to 404 to 367,640. The current assessment made a huge leap this year to 427,040, which is a 59,400 increase. We are aware that our assessed value has increased every year since we built the house in 2019, and this is the biggest jump to date. We have a recent appraisal of our house from October of 2020 in the amount of 373,500. We have no frontage, have a permanent easement for our driveway. Our questions are, how can we be assessed for more than we're appraised at? And when the assessor agreed with us last year and lowered our value, why did our assessed value jump so high this year? With all due respect, we ask that our assessed valuation of our home be reevaluated. This is one that we looked at. I believe it was last year, we looked at it and adjusted a few things based on the appraisal. And we left those adjustments in there, so this is just nearly the 18% increase as far as I can tell.
I mean, if in 2020, they had a $373,000 appraisal. I would think their house went up $30,000 in the last 4 years.
Everybody's did.
If you compared their total value to Richard Johns lives right there. I believe that's Greason's house is the next one. They're pretty close. They're also on Mecklen Road, the Oil Road, similar neighborhood. And then I did Tom and Denise Knudsen's house as well, which is newer. It was built in 22, but on the same road. We got 427, 406, 516, and 421. But
Yeah, I mean, in terms of your square foot footage, they're really doing well. They're actually under.
so the trick with Halverson House, and there's a few of those out there, they have 20 plumbing fixtures. But they really only have 3 bathrooms. That's something you'd expect to see from a 4 or 5 bathroom house. So we do have a 10% functional on there due to that. It's really little and tell with the 3 bathrooms.
when you compare it to Rich Jones. I mean, it's right there. And Rich has a detached garage. And less square footage.
Want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'm doing. What are we doing here? We're leaving?
Affirm the assessed value.
Move to affirm the assessed value.
Maybe Michael will be with that, I think
I
that's what
agree.
you should do. All right, so Schulte's. I'm sorry,
We
you are still at
yeah,
discussion.
we still have to have a vote, so we need a second. So we got a motion.
Oh, second.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And now we're on to Schultz.
We are writing to you with frustration regarding the large increase in our property taxes. Over the past 3 years, our property taxes have increased an unreasonable amount. For 2 of those years, our taxes have increased over 25% in each of those years. In 22, our taxes increased by 26.4%. In 23, our taxes increased by 9.4%. In 24, our taxes are now increasing by 27.11%. Our house is the governor's house on a basement, and in comparing similar properties, our taxes are substantially higher than the others. The increase in taxes has put a financial burden on our family, as both of us have had to pick up extra jobs and or are working overtime to cover the $300 per month property tax bill. Please consider adjusting our tax amounts so that they are realistic and feasible for our family. Thank you for your time and consideration. I'd like to note that in this setting, we don't fix taxes. We deal with assessed value. That's kind of the start of it. But I did look at their property just to see what changed. They were in our reappraisal area. So there was some of that going into it. Just walking through the house, adding quite a bit of finished square footage, particularly in the basement. And then also looking, if you look at the Excel sheet, I have 3 other governor's homes throughout the county there with them. We've got 1, 2, and 3 are all governor's homes as well. The reason I'm bringing this to you today is more of a correction thing. Prior to reappraisal, our office was that letting the land carry the value, I guess is the best way of putting it. We typically have our first acre at about 30, I think this year it should be 33,000. Each additional acre is 2,000. For their property, they're on the bluff on Bluff Road. We had both acres at that 30,000. So they were assessed below their market value. They paid 230,000 for it in 2021. But all that value is put on the land instead of in the house. We reappraised it this summer and found why it was closer to that and adjusted the house value. But our office did not catch that the land was that way. So I guess my recommendation, just to be similar with other small acreages in the county, I would recommend that we change their land value. Recognizing that it's under market value now, but I think the house is more appropriately appraised. So I would recommend that we change it to 221,699.
I move we accept the recommendation for approval.
Second.
So motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
So this went to local boards and they decided to just take any action. I started looking at the aerials for it. If you flip to those, you can see that in 2016, most of this looked like sandy completion ground. And now in 22, it's river. So I'm talking with Kyle Jensen, who farms it. This is his finished property. What I would propose on the second page, you can see that we have kind of a it's hard to tell if there's a brown layer for what's sand and a green layer for what's river. And I would propose that we move what the water has cut away to a river rating, which removes the value for it. There's a small spreadsheet just showing how those acres would change. Most of it would be water in the river versus water in sand. And then the value would go from 6,481 down to 5,487.
I move to accept the recommendation.
So second. I'll go with the question. Okay. So when you take the valuation off what's in the floodplain, right, there's nothing, it's not valued in anything?
So floodplain is different because it's usually, so floodplain is a 10% adjustment. For river, we do 100%. And then sand is actually a soil. That's a per acre that we have, so it's $44 an acre for sand. So essentially he's having not quite 30 acres of sand go from $44 to nothing.
So on the 31.31 acres,
Mhm.
if they don't pay anything on it, they still own it then?
Yes, as far as I'm aware, because they own the legal description of that.
Right, but if you don't pay the tax on it, that's what I'm asking because I don't know either.
He would still be taxed. He has 1.34 acres of rock ground that's
Okay, so that's enough to.
assessed and taxable.
Okay. I just was wondering on the 31 that if you're not getting taxed on any of it, if it's,
I mean, chain of title, it's the north half of lot 1, southwest quarter, and there's
okay,
have that legal.
And who knows what the river will do next year.
That is something in the future I would love to kind of reevaluate our river, but I did pull a 2023 aerial for my recommendation. I found that fascinating because it changed significantly from 16 to 22, but 22 and 23 are very similar.
and the only reason I ask is in case, instead of, if there was an adverse effect to them, at least put a dollar on it, at least they'd be paying. Because I know there's property in the river that people have just said, I'm not paying on it. And they don't own it anymore if they lose it. And I didn't want that to happen either. Because I'm sure that's not their intention either. To lose it.
There a motion?
Yeah, we've got one doing that.
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry, motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we've got that already previous.
So we need you as a board to instruct us to make adjustments for elderly free applicants that we received from the treasurer's office. You can see the remaining value after the freeze is $3,281,870, which is after we exempted 2,582. We did have 18 new applicants this year, so I think it's a good program for. Oh, well, that's very number. Oh, 2,522.
So I'll move to approve the elderly freeze for 2024.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Right.
Opposed? Motion carried. We've got the veterans exemption.
So we have 26 veterans, 6 widows, and we had 7 applicants this year. I did the numbers differently on this one, not the total value of property owned by veterans is $7,964,174. We would end up exempting 4,574. I do have 2 things that I don't think you need to move anything on this one. I don't remember if you mentioned.
The veterans exemption.
That train is already on. We've already applied it, so I don't know if it's anything, but I do have something that requires you to be included. If you flip to the next page after the veterans, we have an application for a disabled veteran, just an example one. In July 1 of 22, they added a reason that you can qualify. So if you look at your applicant eligibility, it's number C. If you're the unmarried surviving spouse receiving dependency and indemnity compensation because of the veteran service connected death, you qualify for this exemption. That was added in 22. We had someone apply back in 19 or 20 with unmarried surviving spouse. But the award letter did not mention anything about permanently and totally disabled regarding the veteran. Because of that, at that time, this applicant did not qualify. We held on to the award letter though. This applicant qualifies for the elderly freeze, has been applying for that. They came to drop it off at our office and I went, why are they applying for elderly freeze? They qualify for veterans. And then I realized we'd never gotten an application from them because it was not permanently and totally. However, the award letter they received is dependency and indemnity compensation. So they now qualify. And I'm asking if you are amenable to me applying the veteran exemption for this applicant, I guess, because it's happening after assessment notices went out. I would need approval. I think they, instead of elderly freeze, they would be on the veteran.
Is that a better benefit for them towards them?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Okay. So I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, we do make a motion to instruct the director to make adjustment for veterans exemption. So I don't know if you want to make that one motion to include that one, or you want to do a separate motion.
Would you like to amend your motion?
Whatever Carrie just said. Make that motion.
All right.
I did want it to be put into the public minutes. That's the reason for qualification because it's new.
And they know that now?
They know, yeah.
And they'll file an application.
And then something to keep in mind for next year, the state legislature did approve that rather than exempting the first $150,000 of value, effective this July 1st for the following year, it will be $200,000. So it's an additional $50,000 off of property value next year. Next thing we have is owner occupied additions and removals. These are owner occupied applications that came in after we sent out assessment notices, but before the March 15th deadline. So they wouldn't be on our original abstract, so I would need permission from you guys to move.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And then we've got tax exemption.
So we received 8 applications for tax exempt status this year. 7 of those are Southeast South Dakota Veterans Association. And then the last one is Hope of Life Church. I don't know how you want to handle these. Do you want one at a time or do you want as one big group per organization?
How many acres is this? Pheasant Association.
I can look that up and let you know on the 23rd.
It's fine. I think if we do it all at once, really. Let's make a motion to approve the tax exempt list.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the tax exempt list. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And let's see. We've still got, Jeffrey Bowman,
What time is he at?
3:45. No, 3:30, 3:30. Got half an hour from now.
And then, last thing in there is the exempt list. That you guys.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So Linnea, one of your comparables on the trailer house,
Um,
I think it's the local one.
It's gone and local board took it off.
Okay, just making sure you know.
The river preserve. US government.
And more,
What was the other name?
It's called the United States of America, the River Preserve
Oh,
in your township.
that would be, just north of the Corps of Engineers stuff on highway. On the highway headed to New.
Highway
Castle.
19.
Is that 19? Yeah, right before the New Castle Bridge.
Okay. Interesting.
That outrageous. I think we told me. Cemeteries.
Cemetery.
that seems like a lot.
It does.
I thought there was 7 active and then about the same as inactive.
You know, I'm guessing that a bunch of them are really small. And,
But as far as active.
yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, because
Oh,
do you consider the one in Vermillion area, is that 2? Is that 1? I don't know. I consider it 1.
hmm.
Then you've got one up Greenfield. 3 by Wakanda,
50.
Fairview on 15. One in Mecklen at Bergen Church, Bergen.
Maybe one on North Street. That's not good.
St. Peter's, isn't that the one by where your husband grew up?
St. Peter's is on Greenfield. And then you've got one on, the over by, there, when she's,
Lutheran one.
Northeast of our,
Dillsburg Lutheran. What's that?
that Dale's northeast of me there, across the river.
So that's the Dillsburg Lutheran.
Yeah.
That she's talking about. Then you got the one at the Baptist Church. Maybe what we come up with about 10 right there. Active ones. Those are just the active ones.
Almost got your acres for you.
What's that?
I almost got your acres for you.
Maybe you know what the Southeast South Dakota Activity Center is?
That says that.
Oh, it says that.
It's spelled out. Some of their deeds, it's spelled out, some of them are not, so. Granted, 257 acres, or 257.21.
Where's that at then?
Federal Association. Most of them are in, Norway Township. They applied for an additional one in Prairie Center. One in Fairview Township. And that's right, Section 2 and section.
So do we need a motion to approve taxes and property?
So moved. Second.
The motion and the second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Carrie, one is for a new application, the other is for existing. But then, yeah, I think we did already do it, but that was application. So Jeffrey Loman didn't answer, so I guess we can read till 3:30, or we can cover it now.
Well, we gotta wait, we have my time.
Yeah, it's 25 minutes.
What do you do?
Yes. We want to take a recess?
Kim, Betty?
Sure.
Take a recess until,
Let's take a recess.
I know.
You're in the right.
So you should be welcome to address the commission. You have your letter here if you want to read the letter. Or if you-
Well, I got some more here, if they want to look at this. I wrote. Invite you to student.
You can read it if you'd like,
Well, not much on reading.
or if you want me to read it.
You can
Suzanne?
read it.
Okay, you can do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Hi, my name is Jeffrey Holman. I'm here to appeal my 2024 assessment on my house and land property. My house is 36 feet long, 28 feet wide, and 944 square feet. It was built in 1950. It is a one-story with an unfinished basement, and I have not made any improvements or changes on it. My assessment for the year 2024 are $85,974, and my assessments for the year 2023 were $74,760. This is an $11,214 increase for 2024. The assessments for 23 were $74,760, and for the year 22, $68,530. This was only $6,230 increase for 2023. An $11,214 increase in my house tax seems to be a little too high for me. This is why I'm appealing my house tax. I I have 8.66 acres of land with a house. This occupied land is made up of tree and large hills. It is not for farming. The assessment on 8.66 acres in 2024 are 49,826. The assessment on land for 23 was 43,329. This is a $6,497 increase for 24. The assessment on 23 were 43,329, and on 22 land, 39,394. This is only an increase of 3,935 for 2023. For the year 2024, the land worth is 5,753 and 58 cents per acre. And for the year 2023, the land was worth $5,003.35 an acre. This is a $750 per acre increase. This is too much money for non-ag land and is why I'm appealing my land. Non-ag buildings. I have a 60 by 24 pole barn that I'm taking down and have a permit to do so. I have already taken down 2/3 of that building and hope to have it all down by the end of April. I hope you can take this, take consideration of this tax assessment appeal. If you have anything to add, you're certainly welcome.
Just that these are taxes ridiculous, and everybody knows it. They've been trying to do something up here this year, but they didn't get done, so, but I just got a little dinky house. She's been there, she's seen it, it's a little house, and raising it up that much is just ridiculous. And I guess that's all I gotta say. I don't like complaining to you guys, but, and I know you're not blamed for all this stuff. It's too high. That's all I gotta say.
Questions from the board for Jeff? All right, so, I'll kind of address you a little bit too, they've heard this already, but
Yep.
this past year, we have to value things on market value, it's what you could sell it for. As long as it's non-ag land, non-ag structure, that's how our office comes up with a value. This past
Yeah, but
year.
how can you go up still what was it,
Mhm.
$5 an acre?
Yeah, so this year we did an 18% increase on houses and 15% increase on the land. Because that's what the sales in the county were telling us we get to do. I pulled a couple comparables. We've got your total property for 8 acres is at 142,054. In August of 23, we had a house on 300th Street in Star Township sell for 300,000. We had a house on that S curve of University Road, right before you take the curve. It's got a mobile home there as well. That sold for 177,000.
A mobile home?
The house did. It has a mobile home there. I was just describing the property. It's got 2 houses, but it was 177. Yeah, if you want to get into mobile home sales, we had one on the highway sell for 250, but that was also on Highway 19.
I'm not on highway.
Yeah, you're on a gravel road, so I tried to stick to gravel road. We had 30611 Frog Creek Road, at the corner of 306 and Frog Creek there. 1935 house, 1,600 square feet, sold for 250,000. We've got one, 311-62 466 Avenue, no attached garage, 1 outbuilding, sold for 270,000 this year. And then one of the comparables we used a few years ago for you is now assessed at 171,035. So all in, your assessed value is $91 a square foot. And I didn't get my average, but my median is sale. My median sale was 111.52. So state says we're supposed to go by market value, and we need to make sure our median is above 85% of market. So we're assessing you at $91 a square foot, and our median sale was 111 a square foot.
And so you know, it's not a one-to-one relationship between the, a property valuation and taxes. That doesn't mean you're, you know, what we did.
Yeah, but my taxes are on what you guys, on my assessment, that's what, I know it's like 90 or 85%. But you raise my assessments up, my taxes go up too.
They're not supposed to. Your mill
Well, they
levy,
went up this year.
and that would be because the county commission did an opt-out. We're currently housing all of our inmates in other counties because we can't use our jail until the new one is built. And so the cost of housing them in other counties, they did an opt-out, and I don't remember the amount, but
600,000, but I mean, the jail and the opt-out should have been on last year's taxes.
the opt-out went up. That's what went up between last year and this year. Last year, the safety center went on.
So my taxes won't go up. You're saying my taxes won't go up for this year that I pay for next year?
I'm saying it's not because of this that they're going up, because every single house in the county got an 18% increase. And they can't raise their budget 18% because I raised housing 18%. So the example I've used a lot is you have two houses that are worth 100,000, right?
Yeah.
And if the market tells us they're worth 120 now, I'm supposed to bring them up to 120, both of them. This is the one that sold, but they're the same house. I have to increase both of them. Budgeting entity asked for $10 when they were 100,000. Each of them is going to pay $5 in taxes. If we increase both of them to 120, but our budgeting entities still only need $10, they're each only going to pay $5, regardless of what happens with the value. Kind of an example I've been using a lot.
So this courthouse or the jail, are they gonna raise that up more than next year though, or for this year?
Yeah, well, we hope what's gonna happen. I mean, this year, we had to pay the bond cost for the new jail and law enforcement center.
Right.
So that was a lot. You know, and that's one of the reasons that taxes went up. And we had an opt-out, and, you know, taxes went up. We still this year will have to be bringing inmates to jails all over creation because our jail is no longer suitable for anyone staying longer than 72 hours. So we have the expense of the new jail and law enforcement center, plus we're still driving inmates all over creation. And that costs deputy time, gas, and we have to pay like $85 to $110 a night for each inmate.
I understand.
Yeah, so I mean, those are the expenses. We cannot raise taxes by more than, what is it, 3% a year? CPI, yeah. So, you know, your any tax increase would not be anywhere close to the increase in assessment. And the reason is because everybody's assessment went up, but our budget doesn't go up by 18%. Not going to, I promise you that. Not going to go up by 18%.
Well, when I see an assessment go up that much,
Yeah.
I'm thinking,
And I
hey, you're
think
gonna raise my
everybody-
tax.
yeah. Everybody's worried about that.
So have you had more people in here?
Yes.
Okay.
You're the last of 18.
Oh, okay, so I'm not the only one. All right.
No.
You gotta look at if your assessment goes up, your net worth goes up.
Right, I realize that, but if I was gonna sell the place, yeah, but I don't plan on selling it.
I know, and that's the problem most people are in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
A few houses sell and it affects the other 98%.
no, I don't plan on selling, I like it out there. So how about the Consolidated? Do we do anything about that?
The Quonset or the pole?
The pole barn, excuse me, the pole barn.
We've got your permit and we'll be out this summer to look at it and. take it out.
Okay,
So
will that come off of there then, or?
our assessments are based on as the property stood on November 1st. That gives us time to look at everything. So we're saying as of November 1st of 2023, your property was worth 142,054. So any sales that have happened since then or changes that happen to the property since November first, that will be unmatched.
So if it's gone by November first, it will change for
Well,
next.
it'll be gone by, hoping the end of this month, must be gone.
And that is the state law that also when their assessment date is.
Somebody's,
That's, I believe it.
somebody's moving it off or,
I'm tearing it down.
oh,
Well, it's, the wind caught it that 2 years ago when I got all that wind, took the whole north side and blew out.
This weekend didn't take the rest of it?
No, well, it blew it out about 4 foot, but it's still up.
Okay.
So, but all the south side and the north side poles are, you know, they're all rotted away. It's been there probably over 50 years, 60 years.
So between the pole barn, the grain bin and the farm set, all three of them together was $6,000.
Right.
So all,
And you said that was, the pole barn was like $700 worth.
yeah,
Okay, so that won't go off until
so we come look at it for the
you
building.
look at it. That'll be on 25. bill. All right. So then nothing's gonna change?
That's up to
I-
them.
Oh, okay.
That's what they're voting on today.
Okay, so I guess I have no more questions. Other than it's too high.
Yeah. You got a lot of company there. It was everybody. It
I'm glad to hear that. I
wasn't
was,
just you.
because I was the only one, you know, when it went to the local, there was nobody there but me.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people believe that there's a one-to-one relationship between
Taxes
assessments
and
and
assessments.
taxes, and there just isn't, because it's like a math problem, right? That the,
So how do they figure the taxes then?
yeah, so it's, it's the budget, right? So the total budget. And we fix a mill rate, by, let's see. So it's the, assessed value of all property times the tax rate equals, total taxes. And you can do the same thing for your own property, the assessed value of the property times.
Oh, it's a math problem.
Right, exactly. It's a math problem.
it's that
It's a math
algebra that
problem.
they taught us.
And we're so glad that we have computers that do
Yeah.
this. And they take into account, similar properties. So this process is just all about making sure that in relation to everybody else, your value is fair. And, when I look at the comparables, what I can see is that in relation to everybody else, your property taxes are actually a little bit lower than average. And I think that's because it's a smaller home. It's in a rural area and so on. So taking everything into account, you'll do okay. You will not see a rise in taxes anywhere close to what the assessment rise is.
Okay. So all this tax money that I pay in for this, where's that go? Does that stay in the county?
Yep,
None of it goes to the state, right?
Nope.
nope, it goes to
Okay,
roads,
that's-
bridges,
Well,
Schools,
school districts, so
township,
I know for sure the Vermillion School District, they get the first 54%. So 54 cents out of every dollar you send.
Jeff is
Yeah, I'm
in
in
the
Sarah.
So, I mean, they'd be very similar.
Okay.
schools get the
Kind of
majority.
wondered how that worked too.
Mhm.
So
And
the
then-
state doesn't get any,
None of
No.
the,
federal, our peer doesn't get nothing of that. Okay, good.
the
They don't
township
need
gets a
any
little bit. And then we get the balance.
Water development districts get,
Fire
rural
department.
fire. department.
Yeah, and the
I got a problem with that. By the time they get out to my place, it's gonna be down. So I have a fire. And so far, even the law enforcement, by the time I call them, I'm probably gonna be dead. Somebody tries to get in my place. Which I'm on the end of the north end up here, so. Well, I guess, anything else? No?
Did we get your questions answered?
Yep,
Okay.
I guess so.
So we do need to make a motion on the value.
motion,
I make motion to affirm
Lilian value.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
So this is, that's the assessment I got?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and it is, I mean, in comparison to other similar places, it's, it seems to be, just looking at the comparables, you're gonna do okay.
And I want to let you know, Jeff, what changes we made a few years ago when we appealed,
Yeah.
those are still in there. We didn't change, I can't remember what all we changed. I
Oh,
know
that
the
was like-
basement finish.
That was like 26% you're gonna lose, yeah.
And that was the year that we changed our cost table from 2009 to 2013 per square foot cost. So we were jumping up 4 years, but I know we came out, we looked at
Yeah.
it, we corrected it, right?
Yeah.
And that is still in there. We didn't change what we have in our cost table. It's just due to the market, everybody got the 8%.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate the time and,
Thanks for driving down.
so,
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Yep. thank you.
Appreciate it. And is there any other business to come before us?
Did we decide what time when we on the 23rd?
Oh,
Would have been 9:30. Or, no, we have to like separate.
I need a time for Joe.
So let's put him at now. Can we put him at 9 and do it right away?
And, you have some things I think are gonna have to be on the 30th though.
Okay.
I think we're gonna still have to have a meeting on the 30th. for pension.
23rd, his date that he chose.
We could put him on the 30th, but if I need to go in and adjust anything, that is the last possible day for the county board of equalization to meet.
What about next Wednesday? Can we do it at 1 o'clock?
Wednesday,
Because we're on the road tour at 1. So I mean, we
Oh.
can just, since we're all gonna be here, we can just take that 15, 20 minutes, 17.
17th Wednesday.
I'd have to call him and make sure he's available.
Tell him that's when we're available.
yeah, that works for me.
I mean, it'd be simpler for us, and then we can still have our meeting on the 30th. And
Yep. Yep.
We're not,
Yeah, so you let us know.
Yeah, so 1 o'clock on the 17th. Is that?
I think that
Yeah.
is just a
That would
simple.
work, because we're getting together anyway, for a road tour. We'll just do this first.
I will give him a call and then send Carrie an email and that will answer.
Super. All right, thank you.
So can't remember how it ends. Because you can't adjourn the.
They recess
Yeah.
until April 17th at 1 o'clock.
But do we, we're not sure. What if we don't, what if we don't have it then?
Well, good question.
I think you just have the hearing on the 17th. You're gonna all be here anyway, and if that date doesn't work, yeah, I think you just make another motion to get you to come out, so you're no longer in recess, and then just make another motion to go back into recess until the next date.
We just have to remember to publish it or
Right.
post it, to do that.
So is there a motion to recess until 1 o'clock on April
So moved.
23rd?
17th.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. You don't need this.
So
Really the marathon.
what am I missing here on this?